it's Charlie, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm starting a new mini-series called Mystery Mondays. Now this series is going to be all about mysteries that I have researched, things that I found really interesting to read and I want to tell you about. It's going to involve missing people, it's going to involve murder mysteries, crime scene investigations, anything mystery related. I find these really interesting because there is somebody out there who knows exactly what happened, and the other person that does is never going to be able to tell that story because they're either not found or they were found unfortunately deceased. But I just think that concept that somebody knows exactly what happened is probably going to go to their grave with that information. So to kick this series off, I'm going to do today 5 people that went missing and were never found. So if you like kind of weird and creepy things like I do, then just keep watching. Now this first case is about a girl called Rebecca Corriam. Rebecca was born on the 11th of March 1987 and she disappeared on the 22nd of March 2011 at the age of 24. She has currently been missing for 7 years, 2 months and 11 days. Now Rebecca was a Disney crew member on the cruise line Disney Wonder and she went missing on the morning of the 22nd of March off of the Pacific coast of Mexico. A security camera captured her last moments. She was seen alive on the phone at 5:45 a.m. on the 22nd of March. Now she's seen in this video to be quite distraught and emotionally upset about something, but you can see a man come up to her and ask her if she's okay. She mouths, "Yeah, fine," hangs up the phone, flicks her hair back and puts her hands in her back pocket and walks away. Now her parents, Mike and Anne-Marie Corriam, say that this is normal behaviour for Rebecca to do these actions. Now suspicion started to rise when Rebecca never turned up for her shift at 9 a.m. on the 22nd of March. She kept in contact with her parents via Skype and Facebook, and on the 21st of March sent her mother a message to say that she would call her tomorrow, but that call never came. Her mother grew suspicious when Rebecca never responded to her mum's response, but did get a phone call to say that she was missing before she was able to report her. Now on this evening when her parents went to bed, a crew member phoned the Corriams to say that Rebecca was missing. Now earlier this morning when Rebecca didn't turn up for her shift, she failed to respond to pages sent to her over the ship's public address system. And as I said earlier, a security camera did capture her at 5:45 a.m. Somebody did come forward to say that they saw her go overboard at 3 a.m. that morning, which doesn't add up with the security footage at 5:45 a.m. And why you wouldn't report this as soon as you saw it, I don't know. Now the entire crew searched the ship as well as the US Coast Guard and the Mexican Navy. They searched international waters and went back through where the ship had sailed through just in case Rebecca had gone overboard. They were searching in the water and everywhere they could possibly think of. But again, they turned up nothing. Now the ship was registered in the Bahamas, so a Bahamian detective flew over to the ship to start a formal investigation. When the ship eventually docked in Los Angeles, Rebecca's parents were flown over to meet the ship. They were taken to Rebecca's room to collect all of her belongings. The captain obviously gave his condolences to Mike and Anne-Marie, however they hadn't managed to progress anywhere in this investigation. Now the detective said that he only spent 1 day on the ship and interviewed only several crew members and no passengers. He didn't say why he didn't interview every single person, but he just said it was a small handful. Now, skip ahead a year and the investigation again hasn't progressed anywhere, but her father received an email the day before the first year anniversary to say that a woman was 85% sure that she saw Rebecca in Venus the previous August. Her uncle said that this email seemed legitimate, however the family questioned how she would have gotten to Venus without her passport, as that was in the belongings that her parents collected. Now a journalist by the name of John Ronson did his own investigation into this after he boarded the ship and made some discreet inquiries. There were a few theories surrounding this case, however the main one was that a wave had washed her overboard. Her parents highly doubted this because they said that the walls of the ship were too high to wash her over. All crew members that spoke to John insisted that Rebecca did in fact go overboard. One suggested that she may have climbed onto the wall and fallen in during a bit of rocky waters. A few people are saying that Disney knows exactly what happened to her but aren't releasing this because there is CCTV footage everywhere and there's no way they would have missed it. Now if this is the case, then I'm sure Rebecca's family want closure for her, so I don't know why they would put Rebecca's family through that. A lot of people did dismiss the claim that she fell in because it would be difficult to do this on a cruise ship. If it was that easy to fall in, then I'm sure there would be a lot more overboard cases. Despite so many searches of the ship from all the crew members and multiple ones at that, the US Coast Guard, the Mexican Navy, they turned up absolutely nothing. Unfortunately, this case is still not yet solved and it probably never will be. The one thing that still does get me though is that why did a crew member say that they saw her fall in at 3 AM? Never reported this, but the security footage recorded her at 5:45 AM. I literally have no theories about what happened to her, but I just find this really interesting because there is CCTV everywhere around a ship, and the fact that this was the only one that caught her at 5:45 AM and then nothing, it just all seems a little bit strange to me. This next case is that of Lars Mittank. Lars was born in Germany on the 19th of February 1986. He disappeared on July the 8th, 2014 at the age of 28. He's currently been missing for 3 years, 10 months and 25 days. Now Lars travelled to Bulgaria with a few of his friends for a holiday. On July the 6th, 2014, he got into a fight with some guys and ended up with a ruptured eardrum. Now, a doctor advised him not to fly home on the date he was due to because of the eardrum and prescribed him some antibiotics. He was later referred to a hospital and his friends said that they really wanted to stay with him, but he insisted, no, he'll be fine on his own, they can fly home. Now, Lars stayed in Bulgaria on his own and checked himself into a cheap hotel. However, a day after his friends left, Lars started to act quite strangely, and this behaviour was captured by security cameras. He only spent one night in the hotel, and the whole time he was acting paranoid and frightened and just scared. He even sent his mother a text message to say that he didn't feel safe, he wanted her to cancel his credit card, and that he was worried that 4 men were following him. And these men were supposedly asking where some pills were. Now, Lars was last seen in Varna Airport, captured by a security camera, and he was running away. Outside the airport, he climbed a fence, ran into the meadow, and that was the last time anybody saw Lars Mittank. Now, there's not really any information on this apart from what I've just told you. It really is so strange, and the police have got no leads whatsoever. The last footage they saw of him was of him running into a meadow to never be seen again. I'm sure the family are going out of their minds, wondering who these men might have been that were following him, why they were asking for pills, and why he was acting so strangely. The investigation is still underway, however, as yet they have turned over nothing. They've got nowhere to go with it, no one seems to be giving them any answers, they've just got this footage to go by, and really, it doesn't say a lot. The next case I'm going to talk about is that of Trenny Gibson. Now, this is probably the most mysterious one yet, just because of how it all happened and how not one single person saw her disappear. Now, Trenny was born on the 17th of August 1960 and disappeared on the 8th of October 1976 at the age of just 16 years old. Now, Teresa Gibson, known as Trenny, was with 35 to 40 of her classmates when she disappeared. They were taking a field trip in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Now the students were hiking about 1.8 miles to Andrew Bold from Clingman's Dome, and then they were going to head back on the Forney Ridge Trail. Now the big group separated into smaller groups depending on the speed they wanted to walk, and Trenny would go with different groups depending on how fast she wanted to walk. So sometimes she'd be in front and sometimes she'd be behind, but she'd always be with a group of people. Now despite this huge number of people, there was only one teacher supervising in addition to the bus driver, and according to some accounts, no one was advised where they were going until they actually got there. Now she was last seen at approximately 3 p.m. near Clingman's Dome. She was going up a moderately steep trail with sharp drops and a lot of dense undergrowth on both sides. Now she was said to have spotted something and left the path on the right. After this, Trenny was never seen again and her body has never been found. Now, the reason that her disappearance was so strange is because they were on such a popular walking path with not only the huge group of students, but also other walkers, and you would have thought that if she'd have fallen behind, somebody would have seen her. Now, once she was reported missing, they sent helicopters up, but due to the weather, it was very difficult to actually see down into the woods and onto the ground. So this really turned up nothing about her whereabouts. Searchers got about half a dozen sniffer dogs to try and track Trenny's scent, and they did in fact track her to the Clingman's Dome tower, and some dogs tracked her scent to the roadside, but that's where they stopped. Now this indicated that she may have been abducted, but they questioned if somebody was going to be involved with foul play, why they would do it in such a place where there were so many people all the time. Just hiding in a bush and ready to step out seemed a little bit dodgy when there were so many hikers and a lot of field trips happened in this place. There was a second search conducted from the 18th of April to the 5th of May in 1977, but yet again this turned up absolutely nothing. Now a student by the name of Robert Simpson was found with Kenny's comb in his car. However, police didn't consider him as a serious suspect because this was the only lead they really had, and again it led to nothing. Now her parents, Robert and Hope Gibson, told the police that earlier they had had a break-in to their house. Robert shot him and he then threatened to later hurt Trenny. Once again, deputies looked into this incident but turned over nothing. Now one theory of this case is that Trenny was taken to the Clingman's Dome and held either against her will or voluntarily while the area was being searched, as the dome wasn't actually searched at the time of the disappearance. They then believed that she was led to the road and taken away by a car, hence why the dogs tracked her scent to the side of the road. A classmate suggested that maybe Trenny just wanted to leave and get out, so she took herself away from the trail and just ran away. She said she felt like Trenny had planned this and she always wanted to get out. Trenny had completely vanished off the face of the earth. She has never been seen or heard from again, and who knows if she ever will be. Now this next one is again one that I am so interested in because again it has some sort of footage. We're now looking at a phone call and the parents heard his last known words, and this case is about Brandon Swanson. Brandon was born on the 30th of January 1989 in Marshall, Minnesota. He disappeared on May the 14th, 2008 at the age of 19. He's now been missing for 10 years and 18 days. Now, just after midnight on May the 14th, 2008, Brandon drove his car into a ditch and called his parents to come and pick him up. They drove out to try and find him and pick him up, but they just couldn't locate him. This whole time, Brandon was still on the phone with his parents, and after about 45 minutes, he said he was just going to walk to a nearby friend's house. However, his father heard him say on the phone, "Oh shit!" and abruptly ended the phone call. Since then, he has never been seen or heard from since. Now, in the morning, his parents reported him missing to the police. However, the police said that this was not uncommon behaviour for a boy of his age to do. Later that day, the circumstances became a little bit more suspicious because his last known cell phone record was in Porter, which was 25 miles from where he told his parents that he was. Now that information actually led police to the discovery of his car in Taunton. It's not known whether Brandon was aware of this discrepancy when he was speaking to his parents. He might have just had absolutely no idea where he was. Now foul play has not been ruled out, but there are theories that he fell into the Yellow Medicine River. That was near where his car was found, and theories say that he might have drowned there. However, there were multiple extensive searches of this river and it turned up nothing. They never found a body, they never found any traces of Brandon. Land searches with sniffer dogs have actually continued for several years. Now, because his parents were told that this was not uncommon behaviour, it wasn't considered a missing persons case straight away. However, since this incident, his parents have fought and managed to create something called Brandon's Law, which you can look up on, which is to say that missing adult cases should be looked into promptly. Now, despite so many searches of the land and the water, the case has turned up absolutely nothing, but the main theory is that he slipped into the river and drowned. However, Brandon's mother doesn't believe this at all. She told CNN that really there is nothing to indicate that he was in the river. If Brandon is still alive, there are obviously other possibilities. One of them is that he did this on purpose and he wanted to disappear. However, his parents strongly believe that this isn't true. They said that he would never do something like this. Foul play still can't be ruled out, although there are no signs for it, but it doesn't mean that somebody was waiting in the bushes and got him like that. Unfortunately, once again, this case may never be solved, although it's still under investigation. Now, the fifth and final case I'm going to be talking about is that of Juan Martinez. Now, this is one of the strangest vanishings ever in Europe, and you'll find out why any minute. Juan was just 10 years old when he disappeared in June of 1986. It was just him, his mother, and his father, and they lived in Spain. His father, Andres Martinez, was a truck driver, and he would often take Juan when he wasn't at school just for a trip. Now, his latest job was to transport 20,000 litres of sulfuric acid, and on this trip he took Juan and his wife also, and they were heading far up north to Bilbao. Now, Juan had finished his school year, so he wasn't being taken out or anything like that. It was just that he got such good grades, his father decided to give him a treat and let him come on this trip with him. Now, around 7 p.m. on the 4th of June 1986, his family picked up the truck. By 6 o'clock the following morning, the truck had entered Somosierra, and this was a mountain path to the north of Madrid. Now, Andres was actually speeding at this point, and he was going about 86 miles per hour. This was speculated that it could have been a result of broken brakes, but his driving became really reckless in the mountains. He didn't slow down once, and he actually broke off one driver's car mirror from driving too fast and bumped into another car from behind. Now, unfortunately, Andres got into a head-on collision with another truck coming in the opposite direction. This caused his truck to overturn and spill the 20,000 litres of sulfuric acid everywhere. When the police arrived, they acted really quickly to neutralise the acid before it poured into a nearby river. Once the area was cleared, they found 2 bodies in the truck, and that was those of Andres Martinez and his wife Carmen. There was no sign of Juan. He was completely gone. He was missing. However, the police didn't know he was travelling with his parents and therefore didn't suspect anything until later that day when they found this information out. They checked underneath the truck and in the sand and lime that they used to neutralise the acid and found absolutely nothing. There were speculations that maybe he was dissolved with the acid. However, this was untrue because even if you were exposed and in the acid for 12 hours, you wouldn't be dissolved to a point where they couldn't find any traces of you. If Juan did fall out of the truck and into the acid, he would have at least left behind either hair or nails or bone. Police actually found no evidence that he was in the truck or in the area at that time. The last anybody saw of this family was around 5:30 in a bar, and he said that there was nothing to indicate the family were upset in any way, and he watched the truck leave with the entire family in it. Now, after examining the truck, the police found that there was nothing to indicate any broken brakes at all. Everything was working perfectly fine. Nobody could actually say why he was driving so recklessly. They obviously will never know that. There were a few theories about it, but they could never find any evidence to state why. One strange detail they did find by Andreas's tachometer was that he stopped 12 times going up a mountain, and this was in a period of 20 minutes. Other truckers say that it's completely unnecessary to stop even once going up this mountain. Now, the most popular theory about this case is that Juan had actually been abducted and his father was trying to chase the abductor, which is why he was driving so recklessly. But obviously there's no evidence of this, it's just a theory. Another theory suggests that Andreas was trying to get away from somebody, and after the truck crashed, somebody came and abducted Juan. But again, there's no evidence to show this. The investigations just turned up nothing. Now, it seems unlikely that Juan would have survived the crash. However, the driver in the other truck did survive. Moments before the crash, when Andreas rear-ended this other car, the man in that car told police that he was taken off to the side of the road by a man and a blonde-haired woman in a white van. The woman said that she was a nurse and she would look over this man's injuries, and two shepherds that police were never able to trace were said to have seen this same white van pull up to Andreas's truck and take something from it, whether that was a bag or some belongings or possibly Juan Martinez. Some people believe that the couple may have been drug traffickers, but we will never know. The media did report that there were traces of heroin found in the Andreas's truck and that Andreas had been involved in drug smuggling previously before. His family, however, later disapproved this with the help of a private detective. Another theory suggests that if this was a drug trafficking scenario, possibly some drug traffickers could have come up to Andreas's truck and asked him to transport something. Andreas refused and they took Juan as ransom. This might suggest why Andreas was driving so recklessly, but on the other hand, he may have said yes so as not to cause any trouble. Juan's family still believe that he is very much alive and the investigation is still underway. However, as yet, once again, there's never been anything turned up. I really hope that you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Click that subscribe button down below. Let me know in the comments what you want to see from my next Mystery Mondays, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!